It's grown men. It's grown men football now. Every mistake that you make is going to be costly, especially as a defender.
Hey USMNT fans, we're back again with another interview, and this time we have the Southern center back sensation, Bayern Munich's Chris Richards. So we figure we kind of want to get to know you a little bit better in case there are some new American soccer fans who might not know about you just yet. Shocking, but let's start with a little bit of your origin story. So your early days, your days with FC Dallas, and I think at this point it's safe to say FC Dallas has probably one of the best, if not the best academy in MLS and maybe even in North America. And having come from there, we kind of want to know, what's their secret sauce? How are they able to produce so many top talents?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the professional environment they throw you into. So the first team locker room is right beside the U19s, the U17s, and so on. And so, as a young player, you kind of get that feeling that, if you do well, that you also be able to just move one locker room over and within a year's time or something like that. And so, we train on the same fields as the first team, and you look over, you see some of your favorite players playing there, and say somebody, say the first team needs an extra player for training, they'll grab, a U19 player, U17, U14, they don't care how old you are as long as you can play. And so I think it's kind of just exposing younger players to the professional environment. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that professionalism and getting those players exposed early it seems like a pretty common theme as we're seeing more clubs, across the world, even in Europe, like Bayern, introducing younger players into the first team. And now, you're at Bayern and you've seen their methods of bringing players, young players from the academies to the first team. So reflecting back and comparing to MLS, what do MLS academies need to do to take their development process to the next level? Like, what are these European giants doing that, maybe MLS isn't doing or could improve?
To be fair, I'm not sure if MLS can improve on it at this point, but I think that a lot of things that big European clubs do is that they're able to scout internationally and bring in young players that way as well. Here, of course, we have players from all around, but even from the young players, we have players from different countries here in Europe, and I think we're not quite able to do that in MLS because we're kind of secluded to North America. But I think in the future it's definitely something that's possible because MLS is growing, and I think we're gaining a lot of respect around the world.
Yeah, has been playing with players from all different parts of the world helped you improve as like a person and a player as well? Just getting that global perspective?
Because people from different places play different, and so I guess you kind of try to take a little bit from everybody's game that you like, and you try to put it into your own game. So I think it definitely helps being able to play with players from everywhere.
So kind of rewinding a bit, looking at last season, right? So you had a pretty tough injury, and we just wanted to first check in. How's that recovery from the injury been? Does that recovery kind of energize you for the new season?
Yeah, definitely. I missed the last 4 games of the season last year, and I was out for the beginning of the summer as well. So I missed CONCACAF Nations League, and it just kind of seeing everybody on the TV doing well, it kind of gave me that extra fire. And even though I was on vacation, it was like I was ready to get to work. I was ready to cut my vacation short and get back to work. But I think it's definitely lit something under my butt for this year, and hopefully I can show it.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of success for American soccer this summer. I mean, as fans, it was, all smiles, exactly what we want to see. The hype is real. So glad to hear that you also believe in that and you want to get out there as well. So, but yeah, any takeaways from that experience, just getting over an injury and, any experience that you learned from on how to prevent injuries or how to recover faster, stuff like that?
I think it's kind of listening to your body. Because it happened at the end of the season, I tried to come back a little bit quicker than I probably should have because, I wanted to finish off the year on a high note. And I also knew that we had big tournaments for national team coming up. But, I tried coming back too early and I kept re-aggravating it. And so even though I felt it a little bit, I was like, let me just keep pushing. And then one day it was just, it couldn't go anymore. And so I guess, like I said, it'd just be listening to your body and knowing when to stop.
The injury thing, it's always interested me. Like, how does that work exactly between, a player having the option to push themselves maybe a little past their comfort zone when they're like, oh, this is kind of hurting, but I'm going to push past it. And then like the training staff be like, doesn't matter, you can't do it. Like, how does that work? And like, what is that balance between the two?
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of all about almost like your own pain tolerance. So like, you don't know if you're supposed to feel it, if you're not supposed to feel it at all, or maybe if you feel it a little bit, you think you can keep going. But with certain things like hamstring, I mean, your hamstring affects everything in the way you walk, the way you run. And so, if you feel it a little bit, it's going to turn into a lot. And so, it was even like simple movements that would hurt. And you're like, oh, it kind of sucks that it hurts, but maybe the next movement won't hurt. And then it gets to a point where they think that you've done enough and they just tell you like you need to rest instead of keep pushing yourself.
Gotcha. Yeah. And in your head, you're kind of trying to like lie to yourself. Like, oh yeah, it hurt, but just that motion, this next one, it's going to be fine. Right.
That's exactly what it is.
I feel that. Yeah.
All right. Enough about injuries. I don't know if we want to keep going on about that. You're back. You're healthy, and you got some good Bundesliga minutes under your belt last season. What are some of the lessons that you learned last season out on loan?
Yeah, I mean it's grown men football now. Every mistake that you make is going to be costly, especially as a defender. The speed of play is much faster. Everybody's much more physical. But also these are people's livelihoods. You're not just playing you're not just playing just to play. It's, people have to make a job out of this, have to feed their families. And so it's really serious. But the thing is, I like pressure like that. And so, it was nice going out and kind of having to earn my spot and keeping my spot. So it was a really good year for me for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all saw that too, watching you, play some progressive passes, playing some, getting some good tackles in and one of the top leagues in the world. It's exciting for all American fans watching. So we were cheering you on, and, we'll be definitely cheering you on this season as well. But are there any like parts of your game that you think those, professional first team minutes helped you in? Like, what you think you improved in your game the most from last season?
I think pretty much all aspects of the game. I went from playing primarily third division games to making the jump to first division, and the speed of play is much faster. You have to always be thinking ahead. I think that's probably the most difficult thing, was to already have an idea in your head, just a quick glance and find somebody. And then also, like I said, the physicality and the speed, and just the speed that everybody is, it's much, much, much higher than third division.
Definitely. I can imagine. And then, Sebastian Hoeneß, who was your coach at Bayern too, he was also the Hoffenheim coach. So how has he helped you develop as a player? Yeah.
So he was also my U19 coach here at Bayern. And so I'd worked with him for 2 years, and he already had that trust in me that, at first it was a little bit shaky because I was this American kid coming from, FC Dallas to Bayern, and, it took a little bit of time for him to trust me. But, once he did, it was just, it was perfect. As soon as I got to Hoffenheim, he's like, if you can play, then we're going to continue to play you. In first game, he trusted me in the starting 11. And like I said, I've never lost my spot from there. And so, it feels really nice when the coach trusts you, and especially when you already know some of the tactics that you're used to. And it was just the perfect situation for me.
So I have an interesting question here that I think, it'll be great to hear your opinion on, because you've been on one side of this kind of conundrum or problem that a lot of young players face. So what do you think? Is it better to go to a big club and play for maybe the second team and, obviously be training at a super high level, or go to a slightly smaller team and play for the first team, but compete, at a overall slightly lower level? So given your time at Hoffenheim and Bayern, what are your thoughts on that and that issue or that challenge that a young player, American player moving to Europe might be facing?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can get a lot from training at a really good club like here in Bayern. Also, a big part of your development is, though, to play. And as much as you do in training, you also need to be able to play. And so, I think sometimes people just get caught up in the big names, but also, if you're able to go to, say, a slightly lower level team, but in the same league, I mean, I think it's definitely a good option to get as much playing time as you can, because that's when you're gonna do a lot of your growing.
Yeah, and talking about playing time, so with this upcoming season, 2 days away for you guys? I don't know if it's Thursday or Friday for you because of the time skip. But yeah, with season like right here, what are your goals for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I want to get as much playing time as possible. I want to be able to show that I can play. Wherever, like whatever happens, I want to be able to show that I gained a lot of experience from last year in Hoffenheim, and that I can use it here as well. Hopefully win as many titles as possible. That's always nice. Just to continuously grow and hopefully be able to make the World Cup roster for next year.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So, new coach, new season. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's been like working under Julian Nagelsmann?
Yeah. So of course it's kind of a learning curve, because you're going from this is my third coach in 2 years. So it was Hansi Flick, then Sebastian Hoeneß, and then Julian Nagelsmann. And so he's definitely taught a lot of things that I never had really thought about. And it's just those little things in your game that can go a long way. And so learning from him, learning his tactics. I mean, clearly, as y'all seen, Leipzig's done really well over the past few years, and that's been it's been due to him. So. We've definitely learned a lot, and the season's still young, so I'm sure that we'll learn a lot more as well.
So are you guys incorporating that like high pressing, high tempo style that is so representative of the Red Bull system?
It's a good mix between the high press and also kind of the traditional Bayern style, which not saying that we don't high press, but it's just kind of pick and choosing your times. And when it works, then with the quality we have, I think it can definitely be very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So now to kind of pivot towards the international level. So last season with Hoffenheim, you played primarily in a back three, and that's something that we saw really for the first time under Berhalter during the Nations League final against Mexico. So it's a possibility that we'll be in a back three, come World Cup qualifying in the World Cup next year. So I just kind of want to get your opinion on the major differences between playing in a back three versus a back four, and then which system of those you prefer most and why.
Yeah. So in the back three, if you're one of the outside center halves, then you can be more aggressive going forward when defending. So say they play into attacking mid who's in between the lines, you can definitely go press, and then the whole line shifts over with you. So I think it's definitely a positive. It can be a negative if you come a little bit too late, or if the line shifts too late. But it was definitely something that going to Hoffenheim, it was actually a lot of fun to play, because I was able to be more aggressive going forward. And then in the back four, everybody, you can still be aggressive going forward defending, but also you have to make sure that nobody's running in behind you. And so it's kind of just pick and choosing your times, when to be aggressive, when not to be. But I like both systems, but I think I kind of lean more towards playing a three in the back.
Yeah, I think, and also given your skill set in that you are an aggressive defender and you're so good with the ball, I think it does kind of play to your strengths a little more. It allows you to showcase yourself more. As you've probably seen this transfer window, there's been a ton of MLS players that have moved now from the league to Europe. So as one of the more experienced European players now, I want to get your thoughts on what you would tell them, what advice you would give them as to what they can expect and really what they need to do to succeed in this upcoming season.
Yeah, I guess when people come to Europe, they kind of see the success of players like Weston and Christian, but also they don't realize that it's not always it's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies. That there's also going to be downfalls as well, and just because you see things on social media, or you see things on TV and stuff, that doesn't mean that they're always in the right. Everybody's gonna have an opinion, and you just keep playing, and just keep focusing, and it'll all turn out well.
Gotcha. So another thing I've been curious about, and I know you weren't with the Nations League team this summer, but the previous two rosters we've had for both the Gold Cup and the Nations League are two of the youngest rosters the team has ever had So we have a really young team. What are your thoughts on like the club, the team culture within the national team right now, with it being so young, heading into a major tournament next year and a really competitive qualifying process starting next month?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly love it. It's kind of cool because we're all around the same age, and it's weird because guys like Christian and Wes and Tyler, who are like 22, 23 years old, they're like veterans now. So I think it's a good mix. We have the veterans, but we also have the young veterans who like kind of keep everybody grounded and kind of make it young and refreshing as well. So I think it's something that, like you said, it's something that the U.S. never had before. And I think we can really use it to our advantage because, I think we all have something to prove this upcoming qualifiers.
And do you find that it's a little easier to adapt and kind of integrate yourself within the team, given that everyone is pretty young and in the same age group as you? And like even the most experienced player, he's only played, 20 games tops?
No, it's definitely easier to integrate because a lot of us have played youth national team camps before, or maybe we played club before at some point. And so I think it makes it a lot easier for newer guys to come in and to not feel completely out of place with these guys who are like, late 20s, early 30s and stuff like that. It really feels like a brotherhood when we go there, and it feels like everybody's already known each other before they meet.
All right, so now we'll transition to some rapid fire. So first question here is, you've been in Germany for a few years now. I just want to know, what is your favorite German food so far?
Oof. I mean, Schnitzel is not German, right? It's Austrian.
Yeah, more or less, but also German.
I like Schnitzel, even though I think it's a traditional Austrian dish. I really enjoy Schnitzel.
I thought it was German, so I did not know that. Fun fact.
Schnitzel is also my favorite Austrian German food. But cool. Moving on from food, we've also interviewed Mark McKenzie. And he was adamant that he's the best basketball player in the pool. Is this true?
No, not at all. Mark's like the football player that comes and plays basketball and just wants to be aggressive and run through everybody. Mark knows if you want a finesse player, you come to me. But if you want somebody who's gonna do the dirty work, I guess you can go to Mark. But I would say I'm probably, I don't want to gas myself up too much, but I'd say I'm probably the best basketball player.
All right. You heard it here, so you could probably take him one-on-one then. And I love it.
So you've spent a lot of time with the youth national teams, and while a ton of players have made their first senior cap, there are some that haven't yet. So I want to know from your perspective, who is the most slept on USMNT prospect, as in USMNT player that hasn't yet debuted with the senior team?
I'd probably say Thomas Roberts. He was somebody when I first came to Dallas that he was always like, he was left-footed and he was just so finesse on the ball, and it was just everything he did just kind of turned out great. So I think once he finally gets his foot into the Austrian league this year, that I think he'll be a baller, and I think he'll show it with the national team one day as well.
Nice, cool,
awesome. As a young defender yourself, who's had a lot of professional minutes now and is playing in Germany, what's one tip that you would give to young defenders to improve their one-on-one defending game?
Yeah, I guess I'd probably just say always be on your toes. I'm flat-footed by nature, and so at first it was kind of something that I had to learn how to get over, and sometimes I still struggle with it. But players now, especially in the first division, they're going to be fast, they're going to be strong, and they're going to probably think quicker than you because that's why they get paid the most money on the field. So they definitely have a lot of quality, and it's just something that if you're on your toes, it'll make it much easier to adapt.
Yeah, and then one more question to follow up. As a center back, what's the best for you? A strong tackle, a headed goal, or like a lobbed assist up to your wingers?
Oof. I'd probably say a strong tackle, or a strong tackle that leads to like a counterattack. That's my favorite.
That's the right answer.
get a little physical, and then also can hopefully something happens from it. Oh, I love it.
There you go.
Two more questions from me. One is, so as a center back at Bayern, you've spent a lot of time defending players like Thomas Mueller that are kind of, they don't really have like a set position, right? They just kind of float around in the space. And with the US team, I think that's like where we've struggled the most, is with those players that just like navigate in the half spaces and cause a lot of problems. So from your perspective, what is the best way to defend a player like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just kind of being physical with them because, of course, and when it comes to World Cup qualifiers or when it comes to around the world, there's not many players of Thomas Mueller's quality, and he does stuff at a very high level. But, it's just kind of showing them from the get-go that, if you keep doing this, that you're going to have some problems today. And so I guess it's just being as physical as possible at first and just kind of setting the tone from the beginning.
Gotcha. Cool. And then later this summer, I will actually be in Alabama. So I want to know, I want to hear it from the source. What is like the one must do for people that visit Alabama?
One must do. Well, I guess it kind of depends. Are you going to be in Birmingham? Okay. Well, there is like a little like hole in the wall chicken shop downtown Birmingham. It's called Green Acres Chicken. And I promise you, as soon as I get home, that's the first thing I go to. It is the best. It is the best chicken ever. But I'd probably say that, or there's the Civil Rights Museum is also downtown, and it's really interesting to kind of just see the history of Birmingham.
Perfect. So I'll hit that in the morning, then I'll go to lunch after.
Do it. That's a very good idea.